to get into, we get some weak scores here. Weak score here, weak score here on the Maverick zones, which auto draws your support and resistance zones by probability. So we got two weak scores right here. We got a B set up to the downside, and all 5 traders are voting bearish. Okay, they're all voting bearish across 6 time frames. So this is an interesting trade to watch right here. We got red candles. Red is your second strongest downside data candle. If you're unfamiliar with our indicators, bright green is your strongest upside data candle. If you see bright green, it might just fly right off your screen. Let's see if we can find some pink. Pink is your strongest downside data candle. Wow, look at oil. I mean, it has just been pumping, pumping, pumping. If you've been watching the news, if you haven't been living under a rock. But pink is our strongest downside data candle. The Maverick AI Pro colors your candles to the data, not to price and direction. What does that mean? It's looking at the buying and selling data. We have our own formula, and then it's going to color code the severity of that buying and selling. Okay, and you have about 5 colors, and we teach you all that. Very, very simple. But think of it like turning your chart into a heat map. This turns it into a heat map. If you see pink, it will most likely sink. And then obviously, if you see bright green, it might just fly right off your screen. Okay, and you could just keep showing you example after example of this. Again, this is turning your chart into a heat map. So what do we have here? We got bright green candles. We've been coming up all night long, like your boy Lionel Richie, right? Great song. And then we've been turning over. Okay, we're turning over. All right, but kind of looks like we're going a little sideways. But what's got me interested here is that we're starting to get red candles. Look, I mean, let's look at this entire run up from, oh my gosh, all the way back here at whatever time that is, 11 o'clock at night, whatever it is. And then it's just been coming up this whole time. You have not had, look for any red candles here. You haven't had any red candles. You've had gray retracement, but that's about it. And now you're starting to change color on the heat map. You have red candles. So what we're doing is we're stacking probability in our favor. What are we going to be looking for? Okay, well, we're turning over, but just because we're turning over, I mean, you turned over here, you know, you turned over here, you turned over here, but you still had rich upside data, okay? But here, we're starting to show downside data, red candles. Okay, red candles. So the data has been coming up all night long, and now you're starting to turn over, but the data that we're seeing is red, and you have a red background. Okay, red background, bears are in control. Look at this red background. See how it's color coded? See the color coding of the background? Okay, so this already started to pick up on the turnover. All 5 traders, think of T1 through T5 as traders. All 5 traders are pretty bearish across your first almost 5 time frames. Instead of having 5 charts on your screen and 8,000 monitors on your desktop, and it looks really cool, but how practical is that? I want in a nice, neat little package my Maverick Multi-X up here, 5 time frames. 6 time frames, 5 traders, all with a completely different style, giving me their votes every single tick across these 6 time frames. And you can actually add a 7th time frame. All right. We have a B setup to the downside. The Maverick radar, going through our entire checklist to see, do we even have a setup? What the Maverick radar is doing is it's going through our entire checklist of indicators that we use, the Maverick indicators, and then it's grading each one. And then it's going to sum up this grade to either no setup, no setup, a B setup, or an A setup. Right now we have a B setup to the downside, which I kind of like. Red candles, your second strongest downside data candle. Let me get into this thing here, guys. I'm going to get into 2 contracts. All right, we're stacking probability. We have red candles. Ooh, now we have a down confidence arrow that's starting to show up. All 5 traders are pretty bearish across 6 time frames. Okay, you have a B setup to the downside, and your Maverick trender is pegged to the top. When this line is pegged to the top, that is showing massive strength and momentum underneath the hood. You also have this downtrend label right here. So that's pretty cool to see. Now the market's going to move very slow. It's 7:09 a.m. And look what time it is. Going to get a little retracement. Look what time it is. 7:09. You guys know I sit on my hands the first minute and the last minute of a 5-minute turn. I believe there's massive market manipulation then. Okay, what does that mean? That means from, let's see, it's 7:09, so that means from 7:09 to 7:11, I'm going to, let me make this bigger for you guys here. Font, and let's make that a lot bigger. Let's go here. Okay, so from 7:09, you can see how the Maverick atomic clock has made the clock red, because we want to be aware of what time it is. So 7:09, this last candle, I believe that the market makers want to throw off the retail trader on what they think the next candle will do. And then the first minute of the new 5-minute turn, I believe the market makers grab stop losses, manipulate, emotionally poke retail traders and take them out. So I sit on my hands on a general rule, not always, but general rule, the first minute and the last minute of a 5-minute turn. And that's why right here, the Maverick clock is red. The Maverick atomic clock. By the way, the Maverick atomic clock is part of a toolkit we're going to be coming out with this month. Okay, so this month, probably another 2 weeks or so, that'll be available for NinjaTrader. It turns your, it gives you this drawing tool over here, so it kind of turns your NinjaTrader into like TradingView. What I love is this indicator on and off thing. So like, let's say I wanted to get rid of my zones for a second, I can just get rid of my zones right here. I click on it and it reappears. So if you're using multiple indicators and you just want one to move out of the way, it's very, 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 very helpful there. So we're going to sit on our hands. We're now out of that first minute. Okay. Let me see if we have news today. So this is really cool. Maverick news. This is going to be part of the toolkit. Pulls all your daily news. I'm just going to stretch it just so we can see it better, because I got so much on here on this chart. So we got news at 8:15. So we got news in about a little over an hour. Non-farm employment. Okay. And 10 a.m. So we have news at 8:15 and 10 a.m. today. And then you have medium impact news at 10 as well. Okay. So pretty interesting. And now, so I am terrible at checking the news. I forget to look. I do all this up. Now I just have my Maverick news indicator right here. Pulls all the news for the day. And I think for the next day, if there is, you can set that. And then look, boop. There it goes away. Beautiful. Now I'm back to my trade. Okay. All right, so we're going to get a little friction here on the zone. So let's talk about the zones. Let's talk about the zones. So this is the Maverick zones. What it's doing is it's drawing by probability where your support and resistance zones should be. Guys, I'm going to get into one more contract. Where your support and resistance zone should be. It's doing a formula to figure out where this should be. It's not as simple as, okay, well, we had these candles, they were coming down, they were creating a support, and it just draws it there. That's not the formula. It's calculating and crunching on the back end, all right, on where these zones should be. And then what's really, really cool is that when price gets close to these zones, okay, it gives you a probability score of holding or breaking. Now, anything under a 90% is fair game for breaking. And look, see how we're just breaking this zone right here? How stinking cool is that? Okay, so now, let me erase my little drawings here. Now, I need to pay attention to right here because you have two zones stacked. Now, they have scores that lend itself to breaking, okay? So these are actually low scores. These are totally fair game for breaking. But what I always tell people is when you have two zones stacked on top of each other, you just got to be careful. Because it's kind of like, and this is the analogy I always give, trying to get a little real estate here. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so it's kind of like if you had a thin piece of wood, and it's decently strong, but it's still a thin piece of wood. If I put another piece of wood, the same thickness, really thin, but now instead of one, you have two, you just doubled the strength of it, right? And if I put a third one there, now you got some strength, okay? That's kind of how zones work a lot of times. Even though we have low scores here, think of these as thin pieces of wood, but because they're stacked on top of each other, it can really add some friction. Does it mean you can't just pop right through them? No, you could, but you got to be careful of the friction. Now we are at the turn of the 5-minute bar, so the Maverick atomic clock is going to be red. We're sitting on our hands. We're doing nothing. Okay, we are, and you'll see these scores get like wacky the first minute of a new 5-minute turn when this is red, when that's red. But what do we have here? We have hot pink candles. If you see pink, it will most likely sink. Pink is your strongest downside data candle. Okay, I think I showed you guys some of that. Let's see here. Yeah, I mean, here's a great example. Whoops. Let me come back here. Oop, did I go too far? Let's see here. Oh, there we go. If you see pink, it will most likely sink. Okay? Pink is your strongest downside data candle. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Bright green is your strongest upside data candle. If you see bright green, it might just fly right off your screen. If you see pink, it will most likely sink. Now this is pre-market, but you can still see this sucker came down. I would have paid a decent amount on. So, okay. All right, so again, the market's going to move very, very slow. It is 7:16 a.m. Okay, Wall Street's still sleeping. Wall Street is still sleeping. Let me move this out of the way so we can see our zone scores. But again, we knew could I have closed that out for $400? Yep. Because we knew we were going to get some friction here. You got two zones stacked on top of each other. So I got to be okay with coming potentially back to the Maverick guide. I don't think I explained that here, but let me show you guys. We like to go long when price is above this blue line. Okay, we like to go long when price is above the blue line. And we like to go short when price is below the blue line. And I could just show you this over and over and over again. Okay, above the blue line, long. Below the blue line, short. Above the blue line, long, all right? All right, so left my chart up here. I just know this thing's just going to move slow. It's so early in the morning. It's 7:20 a.m. You know, again, Wall Street's just sleeping, and this is just a slow-moving trade. But hopefully, what you're seeing here is how we're stacking probability, and we're putting the odds in our favor. Okay, we're putting the odds in our favor, and look at this. I love this: 97, 82, 74. See the strength of these zones? Price likes to move a lot of times away from, not every time, but a lot of times away from the strongest zone. Your first zone, strongest. Second zone, second strongest. And your third zone, your least strongest, right? So price a lot of, 96 is like a brick wall. And I just love how these are in order. Especially this is this is where we're taking the trade. So this is a level to level game. This is a level to level game. If we can break this zone, price is going to want to go to your next level. Again, auto drawn by your Maverick zones. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. Again, all our indicators are available on NinjaTrader and TradingView. Maverick Zones is out now on TradingView, will be out on NinjaTrader within the next couple of weeks here. All right. So look, we're out of the first minute of the new 5-minute candle. And look, price is coming back to life. Price is coming back to life. Love it, love it, love it. Because we're out of that first minute. That's why we made the Maverick atomic clock. Red that first minute, and look, this sucker wants to get to zone 2, really does. Okay, but we shall see. We shall see. All 5 traders are still voting bearish across multiple time frames, and just trader 5 is holding on to the 15-minute chart. That's the only reason you don't have an A+ setup. That's literally the only reason out of our entire checklist you don't have an A+ setup to the downside. Okay. Maverick Trender's been pegged this entire time. Maverick Trender's been pegged the entire time. Okay, let me show you. This flat top right here has pointed out the entire time. Look at this. Since then, we've been in a downtrend, and the Maverick Trender's pointed out and giving you this downtrend label. Again, we're stacking probability in our favor. All right. So listen, I'm going to leave my charts up. Okay, we got hot pink candles. Love this confidence arrow. Another confidence arrow. Man, I'm going to leave my chart up. If we get to about 1,000, I will close this sucker out. Because again, it's 7:23 a.m. This has rich downside data, and we just got to have patience. Patience. All signals are showing to the downside. You guys see me talk about this all the time. Patience. It pays to be patient. All right. So listen, if you want edge in the market, if you want clear vision like this on your charts, not financial advice, do your own research, never any guarantees in the market, but man, price likes to move away from the stronger zone. If you want to see things like this on your charts, we would love, love, love to help you crush it. All right. So I'm just going to keep watching this thing. You can see on the Maverick atomic clock that we are in the last minute of the new 5-minute turn. So we're going to sit on our hands. Remember, the first minute and last minute of a 5-minute turn, I'm just going to sit tight. I'm going to have patience. I don't want to get knocked out by any market makers. So 724 to about 726, I'm sitting on my hands. Okay, I'm going to be sitting on my hands. Here, they want to throw off the retail trader on what they think the next candle will be, and then this one, man, they're just going to try and grab as many stop losses as possible. Again, I have no proof of this. This is just what I have noticed in my years of trading, and that's why we made the Maverick atomic clock red when you get the turn of the 5-minute candle. All right. So listen, I'm going to keep watching this thing. I will close it out if we hit about $1,000. So if you want edge in the market, if you want clear vision, again, come check us out. It's free to look, but this is looking pretty good, all right? MaverickIndicators.com. That's MaverickIndicators.com.